Guys, how are you doing? So I'm sorry from my side that I was not able to upload the video soon because I have some personal work. So I'm re-editing the video and I would be jumping straight off into what I have taught in the class today. So we are about to discuss some method functions here. So the first one is max. So it is actually used to find the maximum element present in a list. So let's declare a list. So let's give the list with the following elements, and for knowing the maximum you would be writing something as max of list, so that now when we try to print maximum value it should be returning as 40. So let's wait a minute. During the first time when you try to compile it will actually take time. It will try to connect to the servers and everything, and once it gets done, so it would be on a go. So let's try to print the minimum. So let's give another list like 2, 4, 6, 8, 5, 6, 10. So what happens here is once you give a new list with the same name, so it updates the values in that list. So what I did here is I have given a new set of elements here, like from 2, 4, 5, 6, 10. So what it tries to do is it updates this list to this list, like the previous list which you have used for maximum. This new set of elements will update this list. So now when we try to minimum, when we try to print the minimum value, we write min of list. It's not mix, it's min. So I will print minimum value. So it is 2. And the next one is round. So what round does is it rounds off the value, the number. If it is a decimal value, it rounds it to either integer or to the nearest decimal point. So let's give number equal to some 1.89. So round num. What it does is it rounds the value of 1.89 to the closest integer. But if you want to do the rounding to the nearest decimal point, so you should be saying like round num. You can see the representation here, right? And digits. So round a number to a given precision in decimal digits. Default is 0. If you want, so the default thing here was 0. So if you put 1 here, so check out what it would be doing. So it rounded off 1.89. The next thing was upper and lower. So we want to give one word a string, and we want to convert that entire string of words into an uppercase. So let that word be Jaya Surya. We would be giving a mixed uppercase and lowercase letters. Okay, so I want to convert this entire word into uppercase. So I will write like word dot upper, and it had converted the entire words which I have given. The lowercase words are converted into the uppercase, and for lowercase I will give word dot lower. So it has given me all lowercase letters. So the next one is upper or is lower. So what it tries to do is it will tell if the word which you have given here is entirely uppercase or lowercase. So let's go with word 1 equal to Jaya. Since we have given all uppercase letters here, so it would be saying if the given thing is true or false. So word 1 dot is upper is true, and we will print checking is lower. Word 2 equal to, let's go with Karthik GK. Word 2 dot is lower. So it should be giving us true, but if I change it into capital K and compile it again, it should be giving me false. So again, apart from that, there is another function called as replace. So what it tries to do is it replaces a specific part. Like if you want to change an alphabet, let's say, let's give a word like can't. So what we try to do is word 3 dot replace C with P. So what it prints is it replaces C with P and it gives you pant. And the other one is indexing. So we have discussed indexing in yesterday's class. So let's give a list with an index values 10, 20, 30, 40. So we want to know the index position of value 20. So we would be writing like list 1 dot index of 20. So there you go. I have told you in previous class, right? Like this goes in this manner. Sorry. This goes like 0, 1, 2, 3. And the other one is count. Let's give another list with repetitive values 20, 30, 40. And I want to know that how many times the number 10 is getting repeated in that list. So I will use something like list2 dot count and see which value I want to test. So I want to know how many times 10 is repeating. So that gives us 3. So if you want to add like another 10 and recompile it again, so it is giving me 4. So these are the basic method functions which we can use. The next thing will be our first package, which is called as Numpy. Numpy is actually a fundamental package which is used for scientific computing in Python. Expect IS applications vary in image processing and everything like that. The Numpy array takes relatively less amount of space compared to that of a list. So the main disadvantage of using a list is, let's give a list of elements. We would be giving it 10, 20, 30, and then the list elements like 10, 20, 30. So when I try to add these both lists, I expect my output to be something like, just a minute. I want my output as something like this 20, 40, 60. I want the values at the same index positions at both the lists to get added. The output should be coming like this. But what happens is it tries to concatenate both the values. So that is the main disadvantage of the list. So what we would be doing here is we would be importing numpy as np, and we would be giving list 1 as np dot array, and we would be giving the same elements 10, 20, 30. So let's give another list, and that would be np dot array. So what we are trying to do is we are importing this package here, and we are writing list 1 as an array, as a function of numpy, and we will give like this. And now when I try to print list 1 plus list 2, check this out, I have got this output. So this is the advantage of using a numpy. So the another part is called as subsetting. So in subsetting, what we would be doing is we would be defining an array like this. Let's give it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll give another array 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I want to know the shape. So I will write something like array.shape, arr.shape. So it is showing me 2 by 5, which is 2 rows. This is row 1 and this is row 2. Likewise, this would be column 1, this would be column 2. Like the column 1 corresponds to the elements 1, 2. The column 2 corresponds to elements 2, 4. Column 3 for 3, 6. Column 4 for 4, 8. And column 5 for 5, 10. So what happens is if I want to print 8, so it would be giving something like array of, let's see where that 8 is. So it is at, so you should be remembering that the index position always starts from 0, right? So instead of confusing you guys with row 1 and row 2, let's put as index 0, index 1. And for columns, let's put this as index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you go. And now I want to print 8. So like when we want to access any element in the matrix, we would be having this basic fundamentality called as number of rows into number of columns. So if I want to print 8, so that is in index position of, like it is in a row with an index position of 1, so I'd be writing 1 here, and the 8 is in an index column of 3, so it would be going like 1 and it would be striking back as 3. So let's try to print it again. So there you go. And there is really no need that you should be using this format only. You can also go like, if I want to print 10, it is at an index per row, so the index position of the row is 1 and it is at 4th column, right? So I'll be putting 4, array of 1 comma 4, so that returns me 10. So there you go guys, this is what I have taught in today's class. And also few people have approached me about the appending part. So list 1, so let's give a list, let that list have elements like these, and when I am trying to append some value into list 1, so what I'm doing is I am using list1.append function and I want to add 60. So if I try to print list 1, what it is trying to do is it is returning me with an updated value 60. But let's do the same here, and list 1 I want to add 70. So if I'm doing this, it is adding the elements which are in list 1 and it is adding 70 to that list. But when I try to print list 1 here, it actually returns me the same old thing. So what you should be doing here is you are not specifying like where this updated value should go. So the best alternative for this would be, when you are using a plus operator, you need to update the value which you are doing to another variable, such that if you do this now and if you give list 2 here, it would be returning you 70, and if you try to print list 1, it would be giving you the 60. So there you go guys. And another thing which Rupam had asked me yesterday is about tuples. So just like lists, there is also another thing called as tuples. So tuples basically means, so the list representation will be something like in square brackets. So you would be giving you a series of values like this. But what happens in tuple is you would be giving the brackets with small brackets. So let's say 10 comma 30, and I want to know what value is present at index 0. So I'll give tuple of 0, so it should return me 10. And another functionality is, let's take list 1. So we got this value, right? If I want to change the value of 30, so what I can do here is I can specify the index the element 30 is at index position 1, and I could give it something like Surya. And when I print that same thing again, it updates the value at index position 1 with my name, since I have told it to replace the value. Now let's try the same thing with tuple. Let's try like tuple at index position 0 to be updated with some value 10, or not 10, 20. So what it gives me error, and it says that tuple object does not support item assignment. So that basically means tuples are immutable, which means you can't change the value in a tuple once you assign elements to it. So that basically means in the real-time example will be origin. So if you guys are familiar with graphs and everything, so origin would be similar, somewhat represented as 0, 0. So no matter where you go or which type of graph paper you take, the origin is always represented as 0, 0, and it is enclosed in this small bracket format. So this is called as a tuple, which means that it cannot be changed. So this is what I have discussed in today's guys class, and tomorrow we will be discussing few things about loops. So whenever you want to give a condition in Python, you would be doing something like, for example, let's do a for loop for I in, let's give a word, let's give it as Kalyan. So let's try, since I am giving a condition here for I in word, every function, like every condition usually ends with a colon, so that you would get this indentation. And when you try to print that I value, what it tries to do is it keeps on repeating the loop, and it prints all the words like this. Okay, so this is what this is something which we would be discussing in tomorrow's class.